The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman on the road in California. In the wake of the dramatic increase in deaths at the hands of U.S. Border Patrol agents, the Department of Homeland Security has agreed to launch a long-awaited investigation into the agency's use of force.
According to the investigation, since 2005, Border Patrol and Customs and Border Protection officers have taken the lives of 42 people, including 12 Americans. The Arizona Republic found there were little or no apparent repercussions for agents who shot to kill, even though they may have had other less lethal options.
The dark video reveals more than a dozen U.S. border agents standing over Hernandez Rojas. It shows the firing of the taser. Was Hernandez Rojas, as the police press release suggested, combative when he was killed? Or was he on the ground, handcuffed?
We have actual large U.S. cities along the U.S.-Mexico border that are becoming militarized. San Diego, El Paso, Nuevo Laredo, Nogales, who have drones flying around in their backyards. They have border guards that are running up and down the border all over the place. We have thousands of armed-to-the-teeth guards that are aiming their weapons at Mexico. So it feels like a war zone down there, and I think it's going to get a little bit worse.
Today, behind a fortified fence that divides the U.S.-Mexico border, a small memorial, a tribute to a teenager who died while scaling this wall. Just across the border in Nogales, Mexico, Ramses Barón Torres' family cries for justice. They claim the 17-year-old was shot in the chest by the U.S. Border Patrol as he tried to illegally enter Arizona. His sobbing mother says, "It's a crime what they did. They're just giving us excuses." The teen's grieving family has no answers, just a bullet-torn jacket worn by their son.
President Obama has also deployed thousands of new U.S. Border Patrol agents to Arizona's southern border with Mexico. Well, caught in the middle of this are about 28,000 members of the Tana Odo Nation. Their federally recognized reservation is about the size of the state of Connecticut, and for a 76-mile stretch, it spans both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border. Our next guest was part of a protest in 2010 where demonstrators opposed to the border militarization and checkpoints occupied the U.S. Border Patrol offices at Tucson's Davis Mountain Air Force Base. Alex Soto is a member of the Tana Odo Nation.
Tana Odo people are, which translates to desert people, are caught in the midst of colonial policies that are now militarizing our lands, from just the amount of Border Patrol agents to checkpoints to drones to just the overall surveillance of our
Newly
community.
revealed documents show U.S. Customs and Border Protection has considered weaponizing drones used along the U.S.-Mexico border. Found that remote-controlled drones caused 10 times more civilian casualties than piloted warplanes over the course of 1 year in Afghanistan.
A couple of years ago, a 15-year-old was shot and killed in Juarez, Mexico by a border agent. His name was Sergio Hernandez Guerreca. He was shot in the face and died instantly, and he was standing in Mexico. The family sued the U.S. government for wrongful death, and the case was actually thrown out because he died in Mexico. He has no standing. Mexicans cannot sue in U.S. court.
The case of Juan Pablo Santillan, he was shot while collecting firewood.
He was about 70 yards away, and that's 210 feet across the river, Rio Grande, in a bank, on a bank, collecting firewood for his mother, who was going to cook tamales to sell on the street.
One of your clips from the interviews you did with the family members of the victims. Guillermo Arevalo Pedroso was shot dead by U.S. Border Patrol agents September 3rd, 2012, in Nuevo Laredo, as you said. At the time of the shooting, he was grilling fajitas with his wife Isabel and their 2 children. This is the interview you did with his wife, Isabel.
When I turned around, I saw that my husband was lying on the floor.
He was sleeping with his mouth open or closed?
Mouth open. My daughter went over to him and started screaming. She was screaming, "My father, my father." He was bleeding. They killed him.
You weren't throwing rocks? You weren't yelling profanities?
No, nothing. Absolutely.
One of the victims Frey writes about is Jose Antonio Rodriguez. He was killed last year in the Mexican border town of Nogales as he went out to buy a hot dog. U.S. border agents shot him 8 times. He was 16 years old. Taire Elena Rodriguez was his grandmother and primary caregiver.
Le queda uno mucho coraje, mucha impotencia. You get really mad, you need a lot of courage, you feel really powerless. So many things go through one's mind that one can't make sense of. For example, all I can picture is my grandson thrown onto the floor. I feel like I'm going to go crazy because I can't understand how somebody could be so evil to kill a child who's not doing anything. As I told a reporter, he said to me, "What would be justice for you?"
Justicia para mí es ver a esa persona.
Justice for me is seeing the person or the people who did this in a court in front of a judge sentencing them. That is what I want to see. I don't want anything else. I know that won't bring Antonio back, but that is what I want.
Authorities claimed 16-year-old Jose Elena Rodriguez was throwing rocks at agents over the border fence. But medical examiners say Jose was shot as many as 11 times, with all but one of the bullets striking from behind.
But if past cases are any indication, these activists say there will never be justice for Jose Antonio.
They wait 2 years. They say they're investigating.
In August, the feds announced they wouldn't press charges against agents involved in the 2011 shooting deaths of 2 other teens along the border.
Reverse it. If Mexican border agents were firing into Texas or Arizona and killing residents there, what would happen?
Well, we know that we've had the National Guard on the U.S.-Mexico border. I think we'd have military forces on the border if federal officers from Mexico shot and killed 6 U.S. citizens in the past 2 years, which is what has happened.
A new study shows undocumented immigrants are reporting higher numbers of abuses by U.S. border guards along the border with Mexico. The Culture of Cruelty study from the Arizona humanitarian group No More Deaths cites 30,000 cases of human rights abuses and short-term immigration detention between 2008 and 2011. Previously undisclosed eyewitness video of the killing of a Mexican immigrant by U.S. border officers 2 years ago has sparked fresh calls for justice in the case and renewed scrutiny of what critics call a culture of impunity. In May 2010, 32-year-old Anastasio Hernandez Rojas was caught trying to enter the United States from Mexico near San Diego. Hernandez Rojas had previously lived in the United States for 25 years from the age of 15. He was the father of 5 U.S.-born children. But instead of deportation, Hernandez Rojas' detention ended in his death. A number of officers were seen beating him before one tasered him at least 5 times. During the incident, Hernandez Rojas was handcuffed and hogtied. He died shortly after.
Senores, help me. What U.S. border agents did not realize is that eyewitness videos of the incident caught the sounds of Hernandez Rojas screaming and pleading for his life.
No. Help.
And that's when people erupted.
That's when, standing on this overpass with other bystanders, she shoots this. You can see Hernandez Rojas on the ground, surrounded by more than a dozen officers. Need to Know has brightened the video to make it easier to see. One agent at the top of the screen pulls off Hernandez Rojas' bare legs as he kneels on what appears to be Hernandez Rojas' neck.
The next thing that happened is he stopped moving and he was convulsing during the tase. And then after the tase stopped, he just kind of lied there. I think I witnessed someone being murdered.
None of the officers involved for the past 2 years, from our understanding, have been reprimanded. They have remained on the job.
Que por qué mataron a su papito es una respuesta que yo no les puedo dar porque ni yo misma sé por qué hicieron esto, este abuso tan grande que claramente se escucha en el video.
My kids ask me all the time, why did they kill my daddy? What happened to my daddy? And it's a question that I myself have no answers.
Another recent case that has sparked outcry is that of Valeria Monique Tachiquin. She was killed by a Border Patrol agent on September 28th in broad daylight in a residential area several miles north of the U.S.-Mexico border. She was a U.S. citizen, mother of 5, the youngest 4 years old. The man who killed her, Agent Justin Tackett, reportedly had a history of misconduct in his previous career as a California sheriff's deputy, but was nonetheless hired by U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency.
Sheena Gutierrez, can you tell us what happened to your husband?
They told me he fell back and hit his head on a rock. Now, by looking at him, black and blue and staples, and the 5 parts of his skull were in coma for 4 weeks. And it was so difficult because I'm away from my children for a whole month, and I'm trying to deal with the hospital. My husband's almost dying, and they want to deport him.
In the 100-year history of Border Patrol, rarely, if ever, has an agent been brought to justice for something that they've done in the community. Now we're going to Congress, and we're asking Congress to take matters into their own hands, exercise the oversight authority that they have over this agency, and provide a very concrete way for us to know what those agents are doing, and that's to use lapel cameras. And those are cameras that are placed on the agent's uniform, and which records their interactions with the public.
Un sistema que mata, porque Nogales no era con este muro, era un rancho Los Nogales. Esto no era común. Esto es un sistema que mata, pero como no mata a veces a aquellos, no se siente. Están matando a los niños mexicanos. Y como no queremos eso, tampoco queremos que mueran los otros de allá.
¡Presente! 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 ¡Presente!